Agreed. We're throwing it out.
Oh, I am. You know,
It's gone. You're like, it's
the
gone.
only thing I'm going to remember is that Kyle Busch ran really well, and Casey Kane ran well. But then again, Casey Kane always runs well at Charlotte, so take that with a grain of salt. And so did Brian Vickers, which he also runs well there a lot too. So I mean,
take that with a grain of salt.
Yeah, to a certain extent. But yes, I mean, but yeah, the drivers you expect to do well did do well. And you know, here's the thing: about 5 more laps, Casey Kane wins that race. Casey Kane was coming. He was going to pass Kyle Busch there real soon. Then the rain came, and people came down. Everybody pitted because they had to pit with like 5 laps anyway. And Rudiman stayed out, and then they were able to park him. I mean, let's face it. They go 3, 4 more laps caution before they park him. Rudiman probably runs out of gas, you know. They go green 5 more laps. People run out of gas or start pitting when the caution comes out for rain. And you end up with somebody like Robbie Gordon winning, you know. But,
yeah.
I mean, that's why you throw this race out, because it was just like this is the only way it was going to happen. And
I even wouldn't have. I mean, I still would have thrown it out, but I even would have been a little more okay with Kyle Busch or Casey Kane or Brian Vickers winning.
Yeah. Well, if Kyle Busch wins, you say, well, I mean, the rain, you know,
fell at the right time for him.
Well, I would even say like the rain just hurried up the inevitable.
Yeah.
You know, I mean, that almost sounds really cocky, but really what I mean by that is that he was probably going to win, or at least he had the best car. The Coke 600, the best car doesn't always win just because
it's so
it's so long. Things change. I actually was really looking forward to seeing the Coke 600 during the day.
Yeah,
and I was really disappointed that it got rained out.
Yeah, it's just I don't know. If you're a driver, okay, Doug. If you're a driver, and we'll take the 2 examples from 2009. You win the Daytona 500 or your first race like that. Are you? Yes, of course you're happy, but do you feel in your heart 100% satisfied? I mean, are
you asking me which I would have rather won this year?
No, I'm asking you how you would feel about winning like a big race or your
Coke
first race
600
like that. Because I mean,
you know, that really depends. Because let me put it to you this way: if I'm in David Rudiman's position, I'm thrilled. Okay, if I'm a successful driver, I'm moderately happy. If I've been really good, but I was junk there, I mean, not David Rudiman, but I'm talking like running as well as Jeff Gordon has this year, but hadn't won a race, and then I'm okay with it. I mean, well, actually, you know, a win is a win, and you never give back a win, and you never say I don't deserve this. You know, I won race night a couple weeks ago. And on my championship race, I was putt, and I finished 3rd a lap down. I mean, it was the most inglorious way to win a race night, but I won, and I'm not giving back that trophy. You know? It's the same thing. A win is a win. But, I mean, like, David Rudiman was ecstatic. He had every right to be ecstatic. I don't blame him. I would be too.
I don't get me wrong. I honestly love Michael Waltrip. I love Michael Waltrip Racing. I mean, yeah, yes. Bottom line, a win is a win, but I just don't know if it would make me hungrier to go into the next couple weeks and just try and earn one flat out.
The worst part of it is the voice in the back of the head that says you didn't earn it. That's the worst part. But I ignore that voice when I'm in victory lane with the trophy and doing the hat dance. You know, I mean, that doesn't really bother me. I don't think it's going to bother him. Now, 15 years down the road and he hasn't won another race, yeah, you can't abolish him. That's the only one that he was able to get. Either that, or he's completely grateful that he was able to get one.
Kind of like Casey. For example, kind of like a Casey Mears. Like, I wonder what he's feeling 2 years later. Or what? Yeah.
He's probably cursing himself for not taking full advantage of the Hendrick opportunity, or he's feeling wrong that they took his crew away from him because to help juniors, or because Junior was coming. You know, which I think is really what hurt him at Hendrick, because the 25 crew that he had was actually good. He was good with them. But hey, because of that, Darian Grubb ended up with Tony Stewart, so I guess it all worked out, right?
So it's just it's interesting to me. It's good that there's been 8 different winners. It's good that there's been 2 first-time winners. Mm-hmm. And then the one thing I just wanted to mention before we move on that was also pretty good, because I did see a chunk of the race that they did get in. Joey Logano ran really well.
Yeah, and I think honestly, and here's where
I just wanted to give him credit.
It almost goes back. It almost sounds like I'm going back on something I said last week, but I'm not really. Which is, I think he and that team learned a lot in the All-Star race last week. And I think they were one of the few people that took lessons learned from the All-Star race and applied them to the next week and accomplished something with them. It sounds like I'm saying the All-Star race doesn't mean something now. It doesn't normally, but sometimes with a young driver like that, it sounded to me. I also watched one of his interviews. It sounded to me like he said that he's learned a lot just in the last month or so, and that's a big reason they've improved. And I think the big buzz right now about him is that, hey, a month ago he was a bust. Right now he's up and coming.
That's 3 consecutive top 10s, isn't it? I know he has 2 9s and a 10th, I think, or maybe 3 9s.
Sir, I'm not sure.
Well, whatever. It's very close to that. And he was definitely a top 6th car. Definitely.
I'm more confident in saying top 10.
And he ended up 9th. So justice was served there.
Yes. It does not show him up in the top 10 at Richmond, which was so you would say if you count the All-Star race, you would say 3 top 10s in a row.
Oh, okay. That's what I was thinking.
I don't count the All-Star race, so it's 2.
Yeah.
But still, 2 top 10s for a guy that started off the season looking
terrible.
Yeah, not very good. Great. He's showing a lot of improvement, and I'm feeling very good about his position driving the 20 car now.
Yeah. Now, that being said, what we said a little bit earlier about the racing this year, hopefully this weekend can maybe change that a little bit.
Well, you're more excited about the race than I am.
Yeah. Oh, yeah, because we talked about it's one of my favorite tracks.
This weekend they're racing at Dover. You love Dover. Me, I can just every time I think about how great Dover can be, there is a race where a guy just leads 350 laps and dominates. This race last year, Kyle Busch dominated, and it was just not a very good race to watch.
Well, hopefully we'll get something different.
Hopefully we'll get something different. Hopefully we'll get something more like last September's race, where it was 3 drivers going for the win at the end. I was really enjoying that race.
Or I just remember back in the day where the Dover race is the driver that led the most laps, which is usually a sign of somebody that had a dominant car. Where in a particular race at Dover, the driver that led the most laps led 90 laps, and that was the most.
Yeah. The Dover is one of those tracks that swings wildly from incredible racing to just snooze fest, and just the way it's been since I can remember watching. All right, we've spent 40 minutes on racing. We have to do at least a little bit of stuff.
Have we really?
Yeah, it is actually. We're 38 minutes.
We had a lot to talk about.
Oh yeah, I was expecting to spend that much time on it. What we need to do is we always do is spend some time reflecting, a few minutes reflecting on the current playoffs going on right now. We're knee deep in conference finals right now, and we've got one that's really competitive, another one that's really competitive, but one side at the same time. And I think you're hurting, Chris.
I'm gonna say this. My predictions of a for sure confident Lakers Cavs finals. Not looking too promising right now. The Cavs are not out of it. They are not out of it.
Oh, you're never out of it till you're out of it.
The one thing I will say that makes me nervous.
I'm sorry.
The one thing I will say that makes me nervous is the one. Orlando just beat them in overtime last night. They're leading the series 3-1. The one thing that makes me nervous is the one win they did have was on a miracle last second shot, so they very easily could have been swept right now. You've said that you've been consistently waiting for LeBron James to let the team down,
and he hasn't been.
Interestingly enough, I think the team is letting him down.
The box score, and I mean the box score isn't everything. It's like any other sport. The box score doesn't mean all of it. But the box score implies that he is doing his part.
I'm gonna say this. I was talking to my cousin. We've talked about this before, but I have deep roots in Cleveland. That's why I like all the Cleveland teams. Yes. But I was talking to my cousin last night, who is from and lives in Cleveland. And the interesting thing is, I told her actually about you and how you said you're waiting for LeBron to let the team down, and how I think the team is letting him down. The Cavs were a 66-16 team, one of the top 6 or 7 records ever.
Oh yeah,
and they're just not playing like they want it right now, and they're not playing like the team they were. Like you said, or like I said a minute ago, the team is letting him down, and I really, really, really hope they can come back, but I don't know.
Right.
I don't. It's certainly Orlando is playing harder. They're playing better defense. They're playing like they want it more, and I think that they've taken it. I think they've taken it a little offensively that everybody's saying LeBron and Kobe, and sorry.
Well, all I'm really thinking of, and here's how I see it, is whenever somebody says a team is going to cakewalk in, never happens. Okay, the what the general mass media or sports media or people I talk to, the finals matchup that almost